Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the man who unified India, from the book by Unification. Hyderabad Mountbatten's pro-Nizam rule. This is very important because Patel had great problems with Hyderabad, and one of the reasons was that Mountbatten was playing a game. He was in fact trying to help Nizam. In Hyderabad, India faced a situation far more serious than any other state. Situated as it was in India's belly, Patel asked, how can the belly breathe if it is cut off from the main body? It was a question of survival for India. A frightening situation was rapidly developing in Pakistan-dominated Hyderabad. Mountbatten's press attaché, Alan Campbell Johnson, saw Hyderabad's various sponsored acts as acts to display her status as an independent state. Such acts related to moral and physical violation of the Standstill Agreement, a loan of 20 crores to Pakistan, and the state leader's imprisonment without trial. The most provocative was the activity of Qasim Rizvi. Further, Hyderabad's Prime Minister Mir Like Ali was till September 1947 Pakistan's representative at the United Nations. Far more disquieting was Jinnah's statement, I require Hyderabad as an active ally, not as a neutral in such a war against none other than India. Patel's most formidable obstacle lay in Mountbatten's outlook and his conversion of Nehru to his point of view. To prevent the Indian army from moving into Hyderabad. Further, Walter Monckton, the Nizam's constitutional advisor, was a friend of Mountbatten, whose services Mountbatten had secured for Nizam for conducting negotiations with India. Monckton had stated he felt that there was no fundamental difference of approach between Mountbatten and himself. He would continue to look for the formula which would allow statutory independence for Hyderabad, and while containing no direct reference to the word accession, would incorporate it on a de facto basis. Both Mountbatten and Monckton wanted Nizam to have an association with India, not an accession. Accession, as Monckton explained to Nizam, could not be abrogated, while association could. Patel failed to understand why Mountbatten asked India alone to adopt ethical and corrupt behavior towards Hyderabad and to act in such a way as could be defended before the bar of world opinion. Such moralization had little value for Patel when others were not reciprocating. How could have he any value? The Nizam showed no qualms in trampling all codes of moral conduct. Campbell Johnson admitted that both the Nizam and his government are very volatile statesmen pursuing a very inconsistent and wavering line of policy. In such a situation, Mountbatten naturally found in Patel a much sterner and less conciliatory leader than Pandit Nehru. Even before Attlee's February statement, Monckton, who was in touch with Jinnah, through Bhopal was testing the possibility of Conservative Party support for appeal by Jinnah and the Muslim princes for separate membership of Commonwealth. In mid-January, he was in touch with chief creator of the 1935 Act, Samuel Hoare, and was much encouraged by their measures of agreement. In 1947 April, Monckton was in touch with Templeton about the acquisition of port facilities at Mam Goa in Portuguese Goa, with a rail linkage to be built from the state to the sea. One Alexander Roger, a businessman who had important contacts among the Portuguese authorities, was employed as intermediary. Monckton himself is reported to have visited Portugal in April before reaching India. He is quoted to have stated that for the Nizam to join India would be political suicide. And if we go warily, we shall have very likely outlasting them, the Indian government. Monckton was sanguine for Hyderabad's survival and believed if HMG would maintain relations with Hyderabad, then Pakistan would recognize it and would Egypt and Saudi Arabia soon thereafter. Monckton's presence in Hyderabad from April onwards was sufficient encouragement to Nizam to step up his activities aimed at achieving independence. Even before India's independence, that is, before transfer of power, plans were hatched for the transfer of Bastar to Hyderabad. A very serious, extremely dangerous intrigue is taking place, Panikkar wrote to Patel on 19th May, where the Nizam's government had been given a mining lease, the right to extend the Nizam's railway to Bastar and to acquire 15,000 square miles of rich mineral deposit. Panikkar stated it's a part of the dangerous intrigue to strengthen the Nizam in every possible way. For example, by the sale of Bren gun factory. This intrigue with the Nizam had to be scotched, otherwise the whole of Hindustan would be undermined. Even Nehru wrote to Patel, the Hyderabad government has come to arrangement with the Birmingham Small Arms Company for supply of arms. An order for 4 crores of rupees worth ammunition, with Mr. Kral calling himself representative of Czechoslovak government. On 12th June, after the announcement of the 3rd June plan, the Nizam issued a farman which declared the departure of the paramount power will mean that I shall become entitled to resume the status of an independent sovereign. The Nizam had set his heart on becoming a third dominion of the British Commonwealth. Early in June, the Nizam had been advised not only to declare independence but also to recruit Britishers to state of forces to ask for Goa as a part of his state, to demand a corridor between Hyderabad and Goa, and apply for membership of the United Nations. The Nizam, on whom the king had conferred the titles Most Exalted Highness and faithful ally of the British government, was disappointed to find that Indian Independence Bill did not provide for dominion status to Indian states. He protested against the way in which my state, in his words, is being abandoned by its old ally, the British government, and the ties which have bound me in the loyal devotion to the King Emperor are being severed. Mountbatten dispelled all doubts when he told Nizam's delegation on 11 July that HMG would not agree to Hyderabad becoming a member of British Commonwealth except through either two dominions of India or Pakistan. This humbled Nizam's pride but did not dishearten him, as he had other plans up his sleeves to gain time by engaging India in prolonged constitutional negotiations through Mountbatten to make preparations for a military confrontation with India by purchase of arms through foreign sources, and to build the Mussalman army to arm himself with a view to crushing the Hindu subjects, even to encourage migration of Muslims from some of the Indian provinces and states to Hyderabad. On Mountbatten's advice, Nizam wrote to Mountbatten on 8th August that he could not contemplate bringing Hyderabad into organic union with either Pakistan or India, but was prepared to enter into a treaty which guaranteed the integrity and independent identity of his state under three conditions. In the event of a war between India and Pakistan, Hyderabad would remain neutral. Hyderabad should have the right to appoint agents wherever it thought fit, and if India seceded from the Commonwealth, Hyderabad would be free to review the situation de novo. Patel told Mountbatten rather sternly on 24th August, "I wish to let Your Excellency know my mind before you meet Nizam's delegation. I see no alternative but to insist on Nizam's accession to the dominion of India. The least variation in the instrument of accession or arrangement regarding the state's association with the dominion in regard to three subjects would not only expose me to the charge of breach of faith with the states that have already joined the dominion, but would also create the impression that advantage lay in holding out rather than coming in, and that while no special merit attached to accession, a beneficial position could be secured by keeping out. This is bound to have most unfortunate consequences in our future negotiations for accession to Union."